This is a fictional mindbender. Anime likes to present certain morals from a black and white point of view from time to time. In particular, the act of killing or taking someone's life. This often will manifest itself within the protagonist becoming a pacifist and refusing to kill, while his enemies and even his allies from time to time show zero hesitation. And I think Rurouni Kenshin best embodies how complicated the act of taking lives can be within Kenjutsu swordsmanship. Without going into detail, the protagonist, Kenshin Himura, was once a terrorist/assassin/frontline soldier that went by the moniker Battosa the Manslayer, and as Wolverine says, was the best there is at what he does. However, an incident where he was targeted for assassination himself results in him accidentally killing his wife, and thus from then on swears off from killing other people ever again. The anime's first season presents this at first as a kind of simplistic and noble, if naive point of view. While many characters think he's foolish, Kenshin, having a natural skill, can back it up. However, he does encounter several characters who put this moral to the test, and Kenshin nearly fails just about every single time, surrendering to his killer impulse, and in his most severe post-war incident while hunting down Mikoto Shishio, where Kenshin completely follows through on his intention to kill when one of his henchmen threatens a baby if he doesn't turn.
Y'all fell for the oldest trick in the book!
He was only trying to lure Himura closer.
I'm gonna make you pay for making a fool out of me! Gotcha! I'm gonna skewer you from behind! What? That move. He ain't human. It's almost like he's some kind of machine!
Itten Mitsurugi style. Ryukan-sen Tsumushi!
With Kenshin's vow only being saved after the fact by the revelation that the sword he used was another reverse blade sword, and yet the fact remained that he still failed on his vow regardless, because he actually did try to kill someone and did not hold back. The one aspect that unites both of the man's natures is his commitment to justice. In both eras, Kenshin fights like he does to achieve that justice, with a passionate fury even. Essentially, that Kenshin embodies the killer that doesn't want to be a killer, the killer with pacifist ideals and that would much rather be a farmhand and live a peaceful life rather than being the greatest badass and most feared swordsman that Japan has ever seen. That's one extreme, but from there, the morality of killing in martial arts becomes gray, as represented by the various people that he interacts with. Let's begin with Kenshin's master, Sojiro Hiko, who represents the aspect of killing that fully recognizes the point of all swordsmanship is to kill somebody else and doesn't shy away from it, and yet considers that a terrible burden to bear and does not enjoy the taking of a life, nor does he try or enjoy brandishing his super superior skills in doing so. If anything, he's more down to earth and also cynical. Then there's Kaoru, the woman he stays with and who eventually falls in love with him, and she represents the most naive extreme of the act of taking lives. Kaoru believes killing is wrong regardless of the situation, but more so as a mantra or a quasi-religious belief that was inherited from her samurai father. She earnestly believes that swords were made to protect people, not kill people. But it's Kenshin himself who points out the hypocrisy of this statement, given that Kaoru has never seen actual combat, so has never experienced the impulse to kill or feel the need to kill when your life is actually in danger. Ayoshi Shinomori, an enemy who is later turned into an ally and even a friend, is a killer near Kenshin's Batosai level whom kills for the honor of the clan, and loyalty to his comrades, but later only comes around to Kenshin's point of view on pacifism, but then takes it much further than Kenshin ever did, renouncing all violence completely, whereas Kenshin will still resort to violence to protect people, just not kill people. Aoshi will not even go that far. Now, of course, you can't have a list like this without including the great Saito Hajime, who embodies the middle point of the killing spectrum. That is, like Kenshin and Aoshi, he's an angry, passionate, and violent man, a rival of Kenshin's during the Bakumatsu War, who enjoys what he does actually, to the point where when he's first introduced in the series, it was easy for me to believe that he was just another psychopath. Yet, as the series progresses, it's discovered that underneath his cold and calculated killer nature is a very strict morality, aut sait sum, kill evil immediately, and that the people that he kills are people whom he regards as enemies of Japan, not for the pleasure of just killing someone for the hell of it. In fact, when he tries to kill Kenshin, it just so happened that he also wanted to kill him out of a personal grudge from the war. And this is really the only time that we see him kind of instigate a fight to kill someone just for the sake of it. Thus, the gray area of the killing spectrum. Moreover, Saito is so strict on this moral that he never lets go of his conviction that some people just need to die, because in his view, some people need to be put down. He's neither naive to the nature of the sword, nor blinded by the bloodlust to take another person's life. And then you have Kenshin's straight-up enemies, who come across as A-tier enemies. There's Cho the Sword Hunter. While not a top-tier swordsman like he thinks he is still also one of only two people who successfully pushes Kenshin to revert back to his killer nature, with no one to hold him back. Killing with swords for Cho is like a hobby rather than a bloodlust, a curiosity to be explored and indulged for his true passion, using the swords that he collects themselves. To be sure, Cho's a psychopath, just not on the level of someone like Jinei, as he is also capable of functioning without having to kill people. Then there's Seita Sojiro, Shishio's young right-hand man and protege, who represents the aspect of killing with the sword, where the mantra is, it's nothing personal, it's just business. Completely applies. Because of his childhood trauma from being abandoned and abused and nearly killed by his family, he had learned to bury his feelings. And when Shishio rescues him, this nearly blank slate becomes the perfect foil for him to adopt Shishio's martial philosophy. And yet, he takes that philosophy and makes it his own, never killing for pleasure nor vengeance or anything emotional or personal, at least not until his final duel with Kenshin. And, speaking of Shishio himself, he's another vet from the war whom some would say is the superior swordsman to Kenshin, even after Kenshin completes his training. Shishio killed during the war because he enjoyed it and was good at it, like Jinei. And his superiors saw this and decided to put that bloodlust to good use. However, Shishio's miraculous survival after being nearly burned alive by those same superiors changes this perspective somewhat, with Shishio now coming to believe that killing was for a higher purpose. He came to believe in a Darwinistic approach to life, as it were, that only the strong survive, and that Japan needed to be strong in order to work with the West. To that end, he formed his own gang and private army. While yes, Shishio wants control and is willing to do anything to get it, he is also fighting for something higher than himself, like Kenshin and Saito even. He's not completely lost to his bloodlust like Jinei. Moreover, he has his own moral code, showing deference and respect to those whom he recognizes as strong warriors, and savoring his battles with them almost as much as a thank you to them for allowing a crime lord to give in to a part of himself that he can't do so often anymore. And he has also found a new family, as it were, that he places at the same level as his higher goals for Japan, with Sojiro being something of an adopted son to him, and Yumi, the ever-faithful courtesan, as his partner. who understands Sessho better than anyone else in the syndicate, with the possible exception of Shojiro. But I would have to say that the far end, the very opposite end of this spectrum, from Kenshin or even Aoshi, has to be Jinei. Udo Jinei is another veteran from the war and a Ronin, and he enjoys killing just for the pure sake of it. If you want to talk about psychopaths, this man is a straight up psychopath, believing that some people are just born killers and that to deny this was an insult to themselves and their existence. Jinei kills for the love of killing. Yes, he'll take jobs to assassinate people, and he did fight in the war for a particular cause, but both of these were just to basically satiate his own bloodlust. This man has no moral compunction about using hostages, taking innocent people's lives, or even making people suffer just to get what he wants, the satisfaction of taking someone else's life. And the fact that he nearly got off to finally meeting Kenshin as Batosa the Manslayer couldn't have made him a more happier man. That is until, of course, Kaoru basically cop-blocked him by bringing Kenshin back to his senses, in which case that left him having to take his own life. But even with that, it still clearly establishes that there are certain levels of villains in the Kenshin universe, and that in this spectrum, in this list of warriors and assassins and killers and whatnot, other psychopaths even, Jinei is the absolute worst out of all of them. Because he's not killing for a higher purpose, he's not killing because some people need to be killed, he's not killing as even a hobby. He kills because he wants to, and that's it. But having said all that, let me know your own thoughts below. If you agree with this list or if you don't agree with the list, just try and keep it civil. And this is the Fictional Mindbender. Have a good day.